Welcome to Down Payment. In this episode, we're talking all things service. The service department doesn't get enough attention. We're always talking about sales and marketing and stuff like that. But the service department is a real important, high customer contact department in your operations. And in this episode, we're going to welcome a guest and we're going to talk all things service department related.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X. Welcome back to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the service department. It's all about service in today's episode. It's something that we just don't talk about enough. Our industry tends to have a lot of focus on our sales department, sales training, but the service department is a crucial customer-facing department that we need to be spending time talking about training and developing. In this episode, we're going to be joined by our subject matter expert for all things service department related. Travis, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, welcome to the show. This is your first episode joining us. Give our listeners and viewers just a little bit of your biography, your background working in automotive service.
Sure. My name's Travis. I spent about just over 17 years working in the service department at dealerships. Primarily with German vehicles. I did everything from started out as a lot tech, moved into detail department to service writer, and then all the way up to service manager at some points in my career.
Awesome. So you have a pretty wide background in that division of the dealership.
I do. I feel like I was always the kind of the go-to guy, had the years of experience and did a lot of helpfulness with bringing on other people and helping them out in that department.
So you had primarily experience working, in the new car franchise German makes.
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
And it sounds like, just from our previous conversations, you got to work kind of with the premium makes with customers where you were really driven to deliver a top-notch customer experience.
We were always, customer satisfaction was a top priority. Everything was kind of based on that. And the more you can have customers return to you, the easier and the better off you are. Makes a huge difference.
And I think that's an excellent background, especially when we're, I'm coming from the independent used car dealer side of the business, and we tend to not put a lot of effort into delivering top-notch customer experience in the service experience. Can you tell us a little bit about what a top-notch customer service experience in the service department looks like?
Yeah. Basically, to me, it would start with greeting the customer right off the bat, making them feel at home. I always considered the service department kind of a big, scary place for people that have never been there before. As a service writer, as a service consultant, you're there and that's your comfortable space, and it's very uncomfortable for new clients to come in there. They've made a large investment in their car. They want to know what's going on with it and, kind of get them to feel like it's home, a place where they can know and, feel comfortable coming to and come back over and over again.
I think that's actually a really good point to make, that we kind of forget about being, long-term professionals in the automotive industry, is that for a lot of our customer population, the vehicle service thing is an intimidating thing.
It is. I mean, it's as I always thought, it's mostly people's, lots of times their second biggest investment. It's their pride and joy. They spend a lot of money on that vehicle every month, or initially a lot of money at some time on it, and they want to know it's being taken care of by people that they trust, that they can understand. You talk to them in their language, stuff that they do understand, and keep them informed throughout the day. There's nothing worse than I mean, having them leave a car with you and you only talk to them when there's a problem, or once a day, like you drop it off and then you call them when it's done. They want to know what's going on in between. you know it's kind of their, some stories, their baby, or their family member.
Yeah, yeah, you get, and I think that probably is a valuable thing is, when you do get that person that's personally invested in their car and they have pride of ownership and they want it taken well care of. Uh, and it's things that we kind of have a tendency to overlook in the independent used car dealer space that we can really learn a lot from, the premium franchise new car world, as far as delivering excellent customer experience there. So, what would be some of the things that you would work to train your service writers and technicians as far as training points go for delivering that excellent customer experience?
Yeah, again, it starts with greeting them, getting them to know them by their name. There's lots of little stuff that you pick up by either talking to them, listening to them. One thing we would pick on is people keep some personal stuff in their car. Whether they have a soccer ball sticker on the back, maybe a license plate frame, says they love to ski. To where you can build a relationship with them. You can kind of find that common ground. And do spend some time with them. That's I mean, there's if it's scheduled correctly, there's no need to rush people in and out. If you can build a relationship, I mean, you'll have that relationship for 3 years, 5 years. Sometimes there's nothing better than having a customer tell you, or introduce you to their family and said, hey, this is Travis. He's taken my care of my car for 100,000 miles. And it's just real small, normal stuff. To me, treat them like they're your friend or your family.
So that actually leads me to a question for you. So, in a service department that has multiple service writers, would you try to keep one service writer with a customer over the length of a relationship, or would they be assigned to whatever the first available service writer is? How do you manage that?
We did both, and at different times, and it became a better situation, I think, when you would try to keep that one customer for the as long as they're there. So you give them your card, they contact you. It just builds a personal relationship with them, and there's times where you remember certain aspects of them or what was done. Sometimes when you look up through history, you can see what was done prior, and it does trigger your brain. Oh yeah, this is that you know black car with the wheels, or whatever it may be. Something that triggers you, where you truly do remember that person, and it allows you to build a relationship with them.
So, what are kind of the characteristics of a highly successful service writer? What are things that we should be looking for when we're looking to hire or promote someone to a service writer position? What are the attributes that make someone a good fit?
I think it's important that they obviously want to learn. They want to. There's certain aspects that you can't teach, the friendship or the personality to them. Anybody can present a menu and maybe sell work, but it's building that relationship that sometimes is hard to teach. It's as well as they need to be organized, and they need to also have kind of stuff in order. It is a very intrusive job, to where you need to keep everything in line, and do everything kind of correctly into it in a timely fashion.
Yeah, so you're looking for some organization, you're looking for personality, you're looking for what's kind of a good job history? What are things that you like to see in someone's background?
In general, customer service obviously is great to me. Some knowledge, some automotive knowledge is nice. And then I think you have to adapt too. Something where maybe can kind of they can adapt quickly to different situations. And some people too that also have a love for the job, is maybe a car hobby or something along those lines.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Our best service writers were definitely car hobbyists. They enjoyed cars. They like cars. They like being around cars. They like talking cars.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for sure.
Would you look for previous sales experience, or was that really not a thing?
I wouldn't, when I was hiring, I would not look for previous sales experience. There, it kind of comes naturally, and I mean, to some extent, that can be trained. The other stuff is hard to train in individuals.
That makes sense. And in fact, we probably should save that for part two on our next episode, our part two of this interview with Travis, talking all things service. With that, it's been another episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.